Over the last 5 days, various Paradox games have begun a cooperative social media campaign, teasing the contents of Paradox's upcoming, unannounced, non-historical fantasy game, due to be revealed in just over 24 hours from this video during Gamescom. Yet a handful of hours ago, the game's title and basic description seem to have been leaked, by Paradox themselves nonetheless, and what we're getting sounds very intriguing if it's true. So let's take a look into the lead up, the leak itself, and break down the buzzwords we see to get a taste of what's to come, and just what I'm hoping and not hoping we get with this type of game. Beginning with the lead up. As mentioned, over the last several days, multiple Paradox IP franchises have posted short 5 to 10-second teaser videos on Twitter, each promoting the upcoming game in its own unique in-game way. Solaris posted an exploding ship about an unexpected encounter and ended their post with a comet emoji. Europa Universalis posted about an age of ash with a ruined kingdom, the crown sitting in mud. Hearts of Iron showed America in flames with "The Mighty Have Fallen" on repeat amidst a naval invasion. Victoria 3 shows the world shaken by a massive earthquake. Age of Wonders showed post-siege carnage with a glimmer of hope emerging from the ashes in quotes. And lastly, Crusader Kings 3 implies a plague and death as it continues to spread. Destruction, probably from an asteroid, ruins, fallen empires, yet a glimmer of something that isn't completely lost. There was a lot of speculation about what these teasers were hinting at over the last few days, from an alternate Cold War scenario to some sort of Stellaris spinoff. And it's pretty clear from all of these teasers that, at a minimum, we're looking at something post-apocalyptic. But we already have one of those from Paradox, Surviving the Aftermath, released almost 5 years ago. So what's going on? Cue up the leak. Afterworld. Unfortunately for Paradox, they seem to have shot themselves in the foot a bit, as multiple Reddit threads have cropped up, providing a bit of information on what's coming. First, a big whoopsie from the Paradox forums, where under the filters and unreleased games, Afterworld appears alongside Afterworld Dev Diary drafts. Looks like someone forgot to uncheck that box when editing the site before hitting save. That mistake has already been fixed, and you won't see it again until presumably after the announcement actually goes live. That's bad enough, but our second leak is even better. Someone found the Discord invite, fully joinable before being kicked out by staff, complete with a title, key art, and a description. Lead a tribe of survivors, rediscover ancient technology, manage wasteland settlements, and wage wars of conquest and political struggle in Afterworld, an original post-apocalyptic survival grand strategy game. Multiple press sites have hopped on this coverage, from DualShockers, Game GPU, and Instant Gaming, to name a few. And one thing that I've noticed is that, for at least the first two, they push a really interesting detail. Afterworld received additional development resources following the cancellation of the life simulator Life by You, which was shuttered due to production issues and delays. There aren't any articles in the past that imply Life by You's dev funding was redirected anywhere, much less to the unannounced new IP, even though it does make business sense to do so. Giving them that additional funding could have led to an increased production to allow them a Gamescom-ready reveal. In any case, with all of that combined, we have some pretty damning evidence that Afterworld is the next Paradox game. So the question is, what are we looking at? What kind of game are we really getting with Afterworld? Let's break down that description. To start, Paradox was explicit when it first announced a new IP. It would be a fantasy, non-historical game. By definition, anything that takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting, even on our own planet, would be a fantasy, and while there will most likely be historical evidence of pre-apocalypse items, as we see with these vehicles and weapons from the supposed key art, since it's not taking place in the past, that does fit the bill, so we're good there. Lead a tribe of survivors implies starting small, not a city, but maybe a village, with the keyword survivors, meaning either soon after the disaster or maybe even a couple of generations past. What time period are we looking at regarding the doom of our world? Rediscovering ancient technology. Are we starting almost civilization-like, with primitive weapons, leading research and exploration to find and reverse engineer hundreds of years old pieces of technology? What constitutes ancient in this case? Manage wasteland settlements. Notice it doesn't mention exploring or settling new ones, rather managing current ones. Are we looking at a real-time game over a turn-based one? To be honest, I kind of hope so. Wage wars of conquest and political struggle. Here is the juicy goodness. What does the landscape look like from a political realm? How are we going to wage a full war here? How big are the surrounding factions, internally or outwardly, to the point where this is actually, a key element? And then post-apocalyptic survival grand strategy game. Let's just cram all the buzzwords together here to give us what we're expecting. But how can something be survival yet grand strategy? At what point are you surviving before it transforms into something greater? If you're waging wars and engaging in political intrigue in a post-apocalypse, you're probably doing a bit more than just living day by day, right? There are so many more questions than answers, so I want to give you my thoughts on what I hope it is and isn't. There are two scenarios here that I'm really hoping we get with this game, and a few that I hope we aren't. Let's start with the aren'ts, as those are simple enough to push through. What I don't want is a turn-based civilization game like Millennia. It was overly complicated, graphically inferior, battles were just bad, and overall it was just plain not good. I see where they wanted to go with it, but the execution was poor. But I also don't want something as grand as EU5, Hearts of Iron, or Stellaris. A true post-apocalyptic game doesn't have the manpower or the resources necessary to have overly complicated resource or logistical capabilities. And to have something on such a grand scale would probably result in overly inflated mechanics solely for the purpose of being labeled a grand strategy of that scale. But there are two specific things I'm hoping for. If we are getting a Civ-like game, I want it to be more like Old World than anything else. Old World has everything that fits in a game of this scale. Randomized tech trees make for great replayability, especially in this world where you may not really be able to choose what you stumble on tech-wise. Maps are regional enough to manage without going global, which is what Afterworld implies right now. But it's the wars and political elements of Old World that I think fits best, where internal factions drive an almost RPG-style grand strategy focus, and managing the various families is almost more crucial than dealing with those external empires. If we're getting a real-time game, honestly, make the After the End mod for CK3 into reality, as the mechanics of Crusader Kings fit so well within the parameters of a post-apocalyptic, low-population, political strife-style game. The governance, the social and political systems of feudal Europe are what many theorists believe a post-apocalyptic society would devolve towards by default, so I think it fits pretty well. We could speculate all day, at least for the next 24 hours, before the game gets truly announced, so I suppose we'll see quite soon. But let me know what you think is coming in the comments below before it does release. And thanks for watching. Your support means everything, and if you enjoyed it, I'd like it if it'd be awesome if you gave it a like or engaged in any other ways to let YouTube know that this one's worth pushing out. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next video.